welcome to Sol Brothers with my dear friend Eno and myself, Simon, where it is our job to throw you into the Solana rabbit hole and show you around in our exciting ecosystem. GM Eno.
Hi, our mission is to make sure that you stay on top of the latest and greatest so that you never run out of fun things to talk about. I haven't fucked up an intro in a while. It's a long time coming. Got the Solana shirt on. Just built it. Simon, where are you now?
I am at the beach on some random island on the Philippines. We literally had a power outage for 3 days in the past 3 days on the whole island. Like the whole island was without energy. So it wasn't easy to set this up right now. I hope my Wi-Fi is doing me justice and us justice in this podcast, and it's gonna not wreck this because we have a shitload of things to talk about today, And I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, this has obviously been a really, really pleasant week for the entire community. Sol is pumping. What the fuck?
Yeah, we definitely need to talk about that because people are right now, I think, very like this is always the same in these times. People get so excited that they don't know anymore what to do because now everyone is looking at the price again. Now everyone's looking at Sol. We've been going sideways for like 2-3 months the past months, and it was a bit quiet around everything. And now that 1 week of pumping and everyone, like the whole timeline is bullish, people are talking about it again. Google Trends goes up when it comes to altcoins, crypto, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana. All these terms are being Googled all the time. So the market is getting hot, but the big question right now is: are we actually doing it now? Like, are we printing new all-time highs, or is this some sort of fake out? And are we going to all get liquidated if we go long now? So that's like the most burning question. So people are right now, I think, trying to position themselves for the next move, if they didn't position themselves already earlier, right? Which would have been the best case scenario. So let's try to answer these questions today, and besides that, also talk a little bit about some ecosystem updates, including some Sol Brothers updates potentially.
Yeah. Actually, let's start with the Sol Brothers updates, if you don't mind, for long-term viewers. And there might even be some people who saw an episode maybe, I don't know, a couple of months ago where we did a little bit of a fake out with this current partner. But the biggest update is, not only do we have SNS and Flash Trade as sponsors of the podcast, but we also have a new main title sponsor for Sol Brothers, and that is, drum roll please, Simon. Who is it?
Solflare wallet, the Solana wallet, is now part of the show. Super excited and happy to actually do it now. We had a lot of back and forth with Solflare already because we actually really wanted them to be part of the show, and now we made it happen. So we're definitely gonna talk more about Solflare in the future, and we're doing it with passion and authenticity because we actually use the wallet every single day, right? So I'm happy to talk about it. I'm happy to talk about the team. I love what they're shipping. So yeah, I don't know. What's your feeling related to the partnership with Solflare, and what's the story maybe behind you and Solflare as a product and as a crypto user, even?
Yeah. Thanks for teeing that up for me, by the way. That's such a nice question to ask. And I think you've heard the story a couple of times, but I love telling the story. My very first Solana wallet is Solflare. And how I got onboarded to Solflare was I started going to the hacker houses in late 2022. So my first one was Singapore. And my third one was in Taipei. No, my second one was, excuse me, why did I jump to the third? My second one was over in Vietnam. And that's when I decided to launch my stablecoin. So this was, I believe, March of 2023. And they had this really cool activation where you could get free bonk if you open up a Solflare wallet. And I just haven't stopped using it, basically, right? Like boom, my second hacker, like the first hacker house I went to, I was still trying to figure it out, and I wasn't so sure whether or not I was going to be building on Solana. And then the second hacker house I went to, I had made the decision, okay, we're going all in on Solana. This is just like a few months after FTX. And of course, I was like, okay, well, if I'm going to be in this ecosystem, I need a goddamn wallet, right? So it's interesting that my first exposure to Solana was both Bonk as well as Solflare.
Hell yeah. I think those are one of the few companies that are super resilient in the ecosystem, and they've proven over time that they are here to stick around on Solana and on Solana only, right? They're so Solana centric, like it's hard to find anyone else that is on that level. When it comes to actual projects, startups, products building on the blockchain. So yeah, I think I'm really excited to talk more about the wallet that we are using since such a long time, and that doesn't mean that we're not using other wallets, right? Like I'm not discriminating other companies. Like I have a Phantom wallet installed, I have a Backpack wallet installed. I love the Backpack team as well. With MetaMask, with my company Solana ID, we're obviously in deep relationships as well with the Jupiter team, as we worked with them in the past as well as Sol Brothers, and we have a lot of friends in their ranks. So working with Solflare here for Sol Brothers doesn't mean we don't support the other wallets, but it means that we now have a strategic collaboration between them and us, and that we will highlight some of the Solflare features for our community and for everyone who's watching, with the intent of explaining as well why we think Solflare is a good wallet and why it makes sense to use it for you as a user, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, Simon's exactly correct. We use all different wallets, right? So I myself use a combination of Solflare, Jupiter Mobile, Phantom, as well as Backpack. But I'm gonna be very honest here. Like this isn't even me shilling for the podcast. I use Solflare the most. And the reason why I use Solflare the most is because it's the most well-rounded out of all the wallets. An example of this would be not only do they have, I mean, Solflare has been around for so long, it's by default integrated into every dApp. And I know that other wallets also have, integrations into the dApps, but like for even Jupiter Mobile now does not have browser extension, and I know that feature is coming soon, whenever that is. But the browser extension for me is absolutely key, right? Just as well as like the UI UX. Like I am so addicted. Out of all the wallets, I think that Solflare is the UI that I personally like the most. In fact, they shipped this feature like a couple of months ago. That's not even. Sometimes it's just the small features, Simon, those convenience features that really make a wallet addictive. So like in the browser extension, you can click the wallet to expand it. And then what it does is it goes from the browser extension into a new tab that shows you your entire Solflare. It takes you to the Solflare website, essentially. And that viewing experience is like super, super good. And also they have the card coming up. So this is what I mean by like Solflare, in my opinion, at this stage in the game, is the most well-rounded out of all the wallet products, even more than Phantom. So yeah, very excited to be using Solflare and to be representing the brand.
Yeah, same here. So I think we do have to talk a little bit about the tokens that we're holding on our wallets, because these guys are moving a lot in the past days. So we literally titled today's live stream, because we're on air right now as well. For everyone who's listening to the podcast on YouTube or wherever you're watching this, we're also live streaming every single week. So if you want to get the alpha right when we talk about it, it's free. You can join us on X. We're broadcasting every single week. So right now the title is Sold to $1,000, Eno. You gave the title. How serious are you with this title?
Well, sold to $1,000, 100%. That's happening. It's just a matter of when, in my personal opinion. I mean, look, I don't want to get right into this. I feel like we should go into the TA, Simon, because you have probably the best view. It's great that we have this podcast because it forces you to. I know that you do TA in your own personal life for trading, but like, don't you feel like because we have the podcast, like you really have to like systematically think about the TA every single week, like at a set time, and so like you have like this sense, right, of the Solana movements. And we've seen some really painful lows this year, especially during the start of the tariff wars in January. Like Solana was all the way down to like $98, and that was coming down from previous all-time highs, right? So I think it freaked everyone out to see such a large pullback and like, oh my God, like Trump just rugged the entire ecosystem. But we are so fucking back. And I can't wait to read your TA magic technical analysis. I want to see what the crystal ball has to say this week.
Yeah, it's not easy right now, honestly, because we've been pushing in the wave extension to the upside a lot. So Sol reached a pretty high level. Let's go over to the chart. Let's take a look at Solana right now. Let me zoom out into the daily so we get like a higher level view of it. And yeah, we can see that we're actually coming out of this valley here where we dipped into like over basically the first half of the entire year right now in 2025. We dipped into this like since January, pretty sharp decline, and since then it's been just painful way up, right? We've been doing higher lows ever since, right? Like ever since the big kind of tariff low in April, we've been printing higher lows, but it still was kind of painful because there was no violent kind of push to the upside, which we're usually expecting at some point, especially in a third wave. And that third wave is right now playing out. And funny enough, the thing is, like right now, because Elliott wave theory is you can apply it to different time frames, right? You can do it on weekly charts in a kind of in a cycle time frame, and then you can go into smaller time frames for the sub cycles that are in the big cycles, right? So currently, we are actually, if we're looking at the markers,
Jesus
we are
Christ,
right
Simon.
now. Yeah, I know it's a bit,
Holy shit.
especially in the if I zoom in, it gets if I zoom in, it gets a bit easier to identify. I can also get rid of all the shit that kind of happened already. But what counts right now is that we are in a third wave of a third wave of a third wave, right? So
Yeah.
if you like the smaller wave, and the third waves are usually the ones that are violent, that are impulsive to the upside. So if you are in a third wave, in a third wave of a third wave, it's basically an impulse and an impulse of an impulse. And those are the pushes that we in crypto sometimes get, and we're like, why the fuck does it not stop pumping? And we got the first taste of that in the past 7 days, when Solana literally went from $190 sub 200 to almost 250 in what is this? 1 week, right? In literally 1 week. So we've seen that play out, and we've been tracking it. We've been waiting for Solana to break out this yellow support line here since basically May, right? We've been touching that support line, and we haven't broken out of it. And it was already inside the Elliott waves. It always made sense to not break out of it so far. But now we reached a moment where we track this. There's like a green wave 1 here that retraced all the way down here in a 2, and then that third wave to the upside that had to break out. Otherwise, we would have need to relabel this whole thing, right? So I was waiting for this third wave to break out to the upside, and it tried once, it didn't do it. It tried twice, it got rejected even earlier in a 1-2 setup, and then the third wave right now actually broke out. And once we broke out here, price didn't start pumping. So we just kept pumping actually to a really high extension target here. Like this third wave here, the smaller one, reached a unusual high FIB level over 2.4 extension. The ideal extension is like 1.68, that 1.618. That's where we're heading now for this larger wave 3 here. I was waiting over the weekend for retrace. So that's where we are right now. If you're asking yourself right now, okay, Simon, that's all great, but what the fuck is happening in the next days? I don't know. First of all, this is not financial advice. You should, make your own decisions. But what I can tell you is that I was waiting for the price to pull back since a while. I thought we're going to start the fourth wave here, right at the 2.414 extension here. And then it was a fake out. So people that started to short here, they got either stopped out, that was me, or they got liquidated. And then there was another push to the upside when you were probably like, fuck, this doesn't stop pumping. What is happening? And then we reached $250, which is also kind of a psychological level of resistance. And from there, we finally now seeing a more violent way to the downside. And I'm watching a support zone right now between $238, which we right now crossed in the past hours, and $218, which would be the ideal retracement for wave 4. We could go all the way back down here. But since the market is quite hot right now, we have the Fed decision, the FOMC meeting coming up on Wednesday this week, so in 2 days from now and a couple hours. So there's a lot of volatility this week, and I don't know if we're going to actually retrace that much, or if this is going to be just a retracement for new buying opportunities of people that felt like they missed out on the past violent push, which is usually what happens in the fourth wave. So people are trying to, get in now at these retracement levels to kind of catch the next wave to the upside, which would be the fifth wave of the smaller wave count and the completion of the larger third wave here. That could bring us anywhere between $250 and $300. We could technically already reach $300 here if this actually stretches into a similar extent to the upside. Even the 2.0 extension of the FIP level is already $286. So that's kind of what I'm watching. So I think let's wait. Like, be careful this week, because with the Fed and FOMC, what usually happens before the FOMC is a small retrace, which we're seeing right now, because people are just taking their chips off the table because they don't know what the fuck Powell is going to do. And then Wednesday comes, the FOMC data is being released, and then people are placing their bets again, making their decisions. We're expecting, what I expect is it's basically to match the forecast, the 25 basis point rate cut. But I also think that Powell might indicate 2 more rate cuts this year, which is kind of being priced in right now. But I think if he actually does that, we would see another push to the upside. If he says something like, oh, inflation is running too high, we need to get back to the 2% target of inflation, and we're scared that, that inflation is going to run even higher, we need to be careful with rate cuts, that could actually dump the market, because people will be like, okay, he's taking too much care of inflation, because if he wants to keep inflation going lower, he can't cut rates even further. But he kind of needs to cut the rates lower, because the labor market is right now pretty shitty, and you have to cut rates to increase labor. So not an easy job. I don't want to be this man right now, but that's my reading for the market. That's my 2 cents, or actually 20 cents of TA and quick intro. How do you feel after getting a little bit of details? You feel better?
Man, I got 2 things to say. All right. Number 1, and I'll put money on this, we are never seeing SOL under $200 ever again. That time is fucking over. You're never going to see $20 SOL again. And at some point, there has to be a last stand for the $200 mark. And I'm telling you, we have just passed it. All right. I feel so strongly that we are never going to see SOL under $200 again. That being said, this is definitely not financial advice. So if any of you, open up a financial position based on my bullishness, then BM, you can use me as your hedge. But and I'll be charging interest for every week. But I don't think that we're ever going to see SOL under $200 ever again. And number 2, I am so incredibly bullish on. We'll explain the structural reasons for why our bullishness is so strong. But I'm just going to start, of course, with this first little bit over here, which is that Solana has hit a new all-time high of $135 billion market cap for the very first time. This is absolutely incredible. I mean, what a sight to see. I feel like, even though the price, people have to remember that Solana has inflation and also, locked tokens that are constantly being put back into circulation. And so, this chart doesn't perfectly match up with the price action that you see on the Solana chart, but you do see that over time, it's just continuing to pump and pump and pump, and this is just such a great. It's so nice to see, actually. So Simon, why is Solana hitting all-time highs? I mean, there's certainly the retail piece, but there's something even bigger here.
There's billions of dollars right now deployed into Solana. Literally just acquiring SOL as part of the whole DAT meta, which is the whole digital asset treasury meta that's going on. So public companies that are being spun up with the sole purpose of acquiring more Solana as an asset. So the investors and shareholders of that publicly listed company can get exposure to the asset and underlying DeFi strategy. So that doesn't mean that we're just getting SOL accumulation. That also means that we're getting TVL for DeFi protocols, which is another bullish thing that people are starting to price in. And the fact that Galaxy Digital and other DATs have been buying SOL in the past 3, in the past 6, in the past 24 hours constantly, kind of reveals that these people are here for the long run, because they don't buy SOL at $240 for 1 billion to then make a quick buck at $250. They buy SOL right now to hold it, right? And to they're deploying capital with a mid to long term time horizon. So I think that's something to keep in mind, that this money that we're seeing right now, this capital inflow that we're seeing right now, that is basically a long-term investment into Solana from institutional money. There's a few caveats we can pick on as well, that because it's definitely bullish, but there's a few caveats. Some people are criticizing these strategies as well, so we can also touch on that. But
Yeah. So like, let's just talk about some of these DATs, digital asset treasuries, DATs, that are buying up billions of dollars worth of SOL. So Kyle Samani is now the chairman of Forward Industries. Kyle is also obviously a managing partner over at Multicoin Capital. And if you know anything about the Solana ecosystem, you would know that the Multicoin Capital cabal is very, very strong. This includes Jito. This includes Drift. There are so many top Solana protocols that are backed by Multicoin. And I'm not saying that they're only successful because they're part of the cabal. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Multicoin is very good at picking out killer teams. And so it's no coincidence that you have so many teams that are backed by Multicoin that are doing very, very well. It's synergistic in that way. But Kyle Samani announced that he is now the chairman of Forward Industries, and they just closed a $1.65 billion raise to buy Solana. It's not just Kyle, of course. We have Big Brain Holdings, who's aping quite a bit of money into Forward Industries as well. I think into the 9-figure range. And then even looking at the strategic SOL reserve by SOL, I believe, what is this? Reserve Solana. We have Forward Industries, Galaxy Digital, DeFi Technologies, as well as Neptune Digital. We're talking about millions and millions of SOL. And in fact, there's a website that BM just shared here that I will actually be going to. Strategic Solana Reserve.org. I actually go to this website quite a bit, and I hate how long it takes to load. This loading graphic is horrible. I'll get back to this a little bit later. But this website actually shows, oh, here we go. That got done a lot faster than I thought it would. You'll see all the Solana that is being bought up right now by these DATs. So at the top of the list is Sharps Technology, followed by DFDV, UPEXC, Forward Industries. I mean, just look at all these SOL holdings, Simon. Jesus freaking Christ. We got 2.4 million SOL just from Sharp Technologies. We got 2.20 million from DFDV, 2 million from UPEXC, 1.4 million SOL from Forward Industries. I mean, my Lord, they are buying up the market.
I mean, these guys are gonna print, man. Like, if it plays out the way we expect this to play out, the prices SOL can hit are, they are up $300 because that's the past all-time high, and it's not unlikely to make a new all-time high in potential alt season, right? So imagine you're chipping in with an average price of $200 ish, like 500 milli or $1 billion of Solana, and then you're waiting until the price jumps to $500. Like, that is an easy 200, like an easy 2x. And it's not a, it's not a meme coin. It's not high. It's not gambling. Like, we've been proven that Solana has been proven that it's very resilient and can survive even bear markets. So these investments, they're not leveraged, right? Like, these people, they can just sit on their investments. Even if they're underwater, they will hold, and they will just wait until they're in big profit. And the time's going to come, right?
Yeah, and another thing that I think folks need to know, and a big question many reasonable people will ask is, what's stopping these people from just dumping all their SOL after they get like a 3 or a 4x? Well, in order to understand the answer to that question, you have to understand, what are they doing with all of the SOL? Number one, they're not just holding naked SOL. They're not just holding regular SOL tokens. And even if they are, they put them into productive use. What does that mean? That means that they're staking it either into their own set of validators, or they're staking it with their partners, right? So from their perspective, not only are they trying to acquire as much SOL as possible, but since SOL is a productive asset, meaning that you can actually use it to get more yield of itself in its own denomination SOL, these people are very aggressively accumulating SOL by any means. And we're not talking about just market buys. We're not talking about special deals with the foundation to buy locked SOL at a discounted rate. We're not talking about just that. We are also talking about taking that SOL, putting it into their own validators or staking it into other venues and earning yield on that SOL. And that capital is extremely productive. They're earning anywhere from 6 to 12%, maybe even more if they're doing advanced DeFi looping strategies to accumulate more SOL, right? In terms of the net asset value, they are convinced that that will take care of itself. The net asset value would be the dollar denominated amount of the SOL. But what's absolutely clear is that they're just trying to accumulate as much SOL as possible, because SOL itself is a very productive asset that is used to stake, used to create new blocks, et cetera, et cetera. But Simon, I think I'm being a little too bullish here. What are some of the caveats that you see with maybe the DAT strategies, or any comments that you have?
Yeah, I mean, one thing is that if you just read the plain numbers on Twitter and you're like, okay, they're buying $1 billion worth of Sol, then the first thing you're thinking is, okay, there's a guy, that's clicking on a buy button and it's going to swap $1 billion into Solana, right? That's not really what's happening. There's a lot of deals that are on the table that are not at all market orders. So a lot of these people are, like a lot of these big funds, they are buying locked Sol, for example, from prior funding rounds in secondary deals over the counter. So these guys are not doing market orders to an extent. Even Forward Industries, I'm 100% sure. I've read it even from statements from Kyle himself. He said that they're also doing some over-the-counter deals of locked Sol. So that means they're just, no Sol that is being liquid tradable right now is actually being transferred here. It's just papers being signed, technically, right? So that is not buying pressure at all. Of course, there's always a liquid strategy as well. And yes, they're also buying on the market. I just want to say that not the full amounts that you're seeing here on Twitter are all market orders. Like there's a big chunk that is actually being OTC deals. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Another thing to keep in mind, I just would be a bit, just be reasonable and logical about it. I can't really fully explain what is happening, but I don't think that these institutional investors that are definitely not dumb money, they're smart money. I don't think that these guys are just publicly announcing that they're going to buy $1 billion worth of Sol tomorrow so that we can all front run them. I mean, I don't know, like it feels a bit off, like to do that, like they want the best price, right? It's smart money. They want good prices, so that there will be quite some market manipulation. And speaking of it, right now there's a red candle being printed as we talk. So the price pumped a lot to $250, and whole Twitter was full of DATs are acquiring Solana big time, right? I think, there's going to be some washout now. There's going to be some liquidations. There's a lot of liquidity sitting between $200 and $215 even right now. Liquidation levels of people that started to long heavily. Maybe they'll be taken out, and then the DATs are going to, put in their next chips when the price is low again after they washed out some of the retail traders that went long with high leverage. So just be careful. You're trading against smart money here. And if they say they're going to buy $1 billion worth of Solana tomorrow, don't use it as a bicycle, maybe. Just be careful.
So I almost like that would be a really fun conspiracy theory that all the DATs are announcing how much they're going to buy because they have some other hidden positions, that would benefit from the market dumping afterwards. That'd be a really interesting conspiracy theory.
We all want to make money, right? Like if I were them, I'd just open a few longs. I mean, on Solana, I would push the announcements out in PR. I'd push Solana from 200 to 250. I'd close all my longs. I open a bunch of shorts. I liquidate all the people that went long too late. When we go down, I make a bunch of money on the shorts, and then I buy on spot with my DAT. That'd be smart money. That would be a smart money move. I mean, and let's be realistic, right? They're not angels. They're not here to make us rich, right? Obviously, we're happy to have them because they're acquiring Sol, and thank you for pushing our price up. Yes, but they just want to make money.
Yeah, that's true. But I also think, not thinking too deeply here, I think it's a little bit of a dick swinging contest because. It's like my friend Kyle, like assuming that I'm operating some other DAT. I obviously don't know Kyle Samani, but like, let's say like my buddy Kyle just closed like 1.6 billion. Well, now I got to go on the timeline and brag about how much I closed, right? And so I almost feel like that's a part of the marketing for the DATs, and it truly is. I don't know if this is a winner take all market, but there is going to be one. I mean, this just happens everywhere, right? There's going to be at least one clear standout winner. And everybody wants to be perceived as the big dog because that's the DAT that you want to attract all the capital. So that's how I would almost explain the behavior. But I don't think that you're wrong, though. The smart money probably is opened up longs, closed those longs, and now is opening up shorts. But I'd also think that part of this behavior that we're seeing publicly just has to do with very basic caveman, lizard brain, dick measuring behavior.
Yeah. Oh, that's for sure. Yeah, that's for sure. We'll all do it, right? That's true. But yeah, I think, let's move on the agenda before we there's so much to cover when it comes to Sol price right now, and then potentials, and what else do we have on the structure, before we deviate?
Yeah, I mean, if we're just talking about the fundamentals, right? Because Sol wouldn't be pumping if we didn't have really, really good fundamentals. And market cap aside, you look at the year-to-date revenue, we're talking like $1.28 billion made on the chain, right? There are real unicorns in the making in Solana. We're talking about 1,170 transactions per second with no fragmented liquidity. That is absolutely phenomenal. And with the Alpenglow upgrades, we're going to be getting rid of a lot of these useless vote account transactions and reducing latency, increasing bandwidth. I screwed up that order to 150 milliseconds, right? And then the transaction fees, we're talking like sub pennies. This is just phenomenal, right? You can't. There's so much productive activity on this chain, and we're only a fifth of the market cap of Ethereum, which is, and if we got to Ethereum's market cap, we'd be at $1,000 Sol, which is kind of blows my mind. But yeah, I don't know. It's just Solana is a very, very productive chain with great businesses that are being built here. We're very practical. Do you have anything that you wanna share?
Maybe just another shout out to one of our big KOLs and creators. I'm sure he hates the name KOL, by the way, but let's bring up my screen real quick and look at what Mert has been putting out, because he has been talking about the DeFi renaissance on Solana. And it's funny, he says we're about to see a colossal DeFi renaissance, and sounds like DeFi was gone. I don't feel like it was gone at any point. But anyway, he says DeFi is coming back. We have a renaissance on Solana. Sure, there was DeFi summer, so maybe we'll now have another one. Best market makers in crypto competing to death on AMAM's order flow game, getting interesting with Jupiter, Phantom, DFlow, Titan, lots of people fighting for best quotes. New Solana DATs injecting bins into DeFi on-chain. We talked about it today. TPU sending via RPC is getting better by the day. Alpenglow reducing finality to 250 milliseconds. The tech is just, getting nuts at this point. We're literally competing with MasterCard, Visa payment rails when it comes to latency. Teams starting to CU Golf to increase on-chain velocity, stablecoin competition driving yield back to DeFi. A lot of bullish news coming here directly from Mert when it comes to Solana. And these are literally like 15 bullet points or something, and they all mean something. It's not just words. It is actually true. Like, there's so much shit happening right now on Solana that it is reasonable. Like, it makes sense why the price is going up right now.
Yeah.
Because it's not just it's not just a narrative. It's not just a story. There's a huge bit of that, but there's also real money being made on Solana protocol and on Solana.
Bro, Solana is winning on so many levels. I think another thing that he didn't mention, but is definitely the unsung hero of Solana is the Coliseum team. Coliseum is the pipeline to create basically hundreds of new teams on Solana all around the world, because great set of incentives, judges, potential mentorship, potential investment by the Coliseum team, invitations to work out of the US, San Francisco and New York. I mean, Solana on all fronts, whether it be the events, whether it be builder onboarding, whether it be DeFi on chain, whether it be revenue, whether it be transaction speed, whether it be liquidity. I mean, it's just, we got it all, right? The momentum is really on our side. And certainly we have a long way to catch up with our competitors in different aspects. But for the core things that matter, as long as we do these fundamentals well, everything else will follow. Token price will follow. Revenue will continue to grow. You're going to see more transactions on chain. You're going to see more teams building. Like, my prediction, which I think is even more important than token price, is that I think the Solana ecosystem itself is going to 10x in the next 5 years. I think that's the real number that matters, because more than token price, like, we just need more teams building billion-dollar businesses on Solana. And once you have, like, let's say, 5 or 10 businesses that are unicorns, like Solana unicorns, I mean, everyone's just going to decide to build here now. Once you have all the talent and you have all the capital, it's just game over.
I think 10x is probably even too conservative. Like, we're gonna have a higher multiple when it comes to TVL revenues, teams, and devs, and so on. Like, all these numbers in the next couple of years, they will more than 10x. That would be my projection. But yeah, even right now we have an ecosystem that's on fire, and we do have a few news from a few projects of our friends that we want to touch on. Is it a good time to move over to these now?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Number one.
All right.
When Meteora TGE met to the moon. Oh my God, Simon, what can you tell us about the Met TGE?
Yeah, we've been waiting for this probably like a year or longer, like actually talking about it on the timeline and so on. So Meteora is one of the biggest liquidity provisioning platforms on Solana, where you can open LP pools, you can LP for profit. Basically, you have different LP strategies that you can use to provide liquidity and make money doing so in certain ranges that you can set on Meteora. And people have been using Meteora a lot, especially during the meme coin craze, and even today when we still have thousands of tokens being launched every single day. Lots of pools are deployed on Meteora in their DLMMs and even newer technologies that they pushed. And a lot of these teams that are using Meteora ask themselves, okay, do you guys have a token? When is it coming? And are we going to get an airdrop from all our activity? And the answer is yes to all of these, because MET is coming. The Meteora token, MET, is definitely on the horizon now. And that's not only some speculation, that is literally official now, posted from the Meteora team. And there's also an airdrop involved in this, and you can check your points already right now. There's a points checker on meteora.ag, so definitely check that out as well. What's the exact timeline here? Do we have something?
Yeah, so they've said it. I think that this tweet is perfect. TLDR October. It's like a lot of why use many word when few word do trick.
Awesome.
Yes.
Shout out to Slash. Yeah, that's good. So October is the month, as it seems. That is very useful information. So and the points you've been farming for the Meteora airdrop, there was a snapshot. It's already done for the season 1. If you're right now deploying capital into DLMMs or other pools on Meteora, then this will count to your season 2 airdrop. We don't have any timelines and information on this yet. But it looks like the season 1 airdrop can be a juicy one. If you have deployed capital in 2024, you actually get more points compared to people that deployed capital in 2025. But both camps will get an airdrop.
Yeah, right. And season 2 is ongoing, so keep on DLMMing on Meteora. Soju also announced, and you touched on this just a bit, that they have a new mechanism by which you can claim your airdrops and then use them productively directly into DLMMing. So it's a really interesting system. There's going to be a few partnerships that they do with unspecified partners. They have not revealed that yet. But it seems very clear that there are a couple of token projects that they're working with where they reward you airdrops, but what you do is you claim on Meteora, and then you can, instead of just claiming it directly into your wallet like a normal claims website, you can decide if you want to open a position, like a DLMM position in Meteora with your airdrop. So I think it's a really fun initiative that makes a lot of sense. I don't know why they haven't done it sooner. It's pretty genius. I think they were supposed to run that feature earlier last week, but for whatever reason that there were some difficulties testing that out. But they are going to want to test that out for Mettober, and Mettober is right on our doorstep, man. We're talking about just a couple of weeks. Then it's in October. They didn't spend. You know how it is, Simon. I'll put a Polymarket bet on this. I think the Met points are coming on the fourth week of October, because people always need a little bit more time.
Potentially. Let's see. Let's see. 100 push-ups if you're wrong.
100 push-ups and wrong. All right. Moving on to some more updates in the ecosystem. The first partner that we want to cover is, of course, Solflare. They have opened up a new Twitter account. So you, of course, have Solflare, the team, but you also have the Solflare Empire. And if we go over to this link over here, you'll see that the Solflare Empire now represents the community, and this is super crucial because they have so many different ambassadors, so many different creators, so many different builders. That includes us now, and they give they give so many badges out, right? So they're going to be giving these like modified Solflare badges, this black version, to their creators. So that's really cool.
Yep. That is the easiest way for you to distinguish between team members and community ambassadors. If you see a yellow Solflare logo with yellow background, it is actually an internal team member of Solflare from the main account. And if you see yellow logo on a black background, then it's going to be community ambassador of the ambassador program of Solflare, which is actually a fucking one of the best ambassador programs that I know of in crypto, because they have like, I think 60, 70 by now of really good creators that are all in a group chat together, pushing content out and making sure that all the posts that the main account is putting out gets a lot of attention as well. And they have weekly kind of education calls in their Discord as well, hosted by our friend Maki, who's the community lead, and he's just explaining people how to be better on Twitter. Actually, really good content. So they are putting a lot of work into educating the ambassadors, making sure that they have that they achieve their goals and are successful in what they do as creators. So really valuable ambassador program, and definitely something you want to check out. And as a cherry on top, you get a badge. You get a basically Twitter premium account sponsored by Solflare.
Yeah. And that's not the only really cool piece of news out this week. Solflare has a new feature called Solflare Earn. And this really brings a smile to my face because you and I both know that our new contact point over at Solflare is Maurice. And I know Maurice because he's a fellow Mustache DAO member. I know that you can barely see my mustache, but Maurice is one of the founding members of Mustache DAO. And you also know him through his work through Lulo. Am I correct? And Lulo has exactly this feature, right? There's max earn, and then there's insured earn. But in Lulo parlance, you would call it Lulo protect and then Lulo boost or boosted yield, if that makes sense. Yeah, I think, is it Lulo protect and Lulo boost? Something like this. But anywho, it makes a lot of sense. You have one vault that's insured, so your principal protected just in case something goes sideways. And then you have max earn, which is actually taking some percentage points away from the insured pool. The trade-off is that for a higher APY, you also act as first loss in a catastrophic event. We don't anticipate that would happen, but it's really smart that you would have these two different risk profiles depending on what the users want, right? Like there can totally be people who are feeling a little burnt on previous instances. I'm thinking about like Terra Luna, in which case you would just go for the insured pool and you have a little bit of a less stablecoin yield, but that's okay, right? And then for max earn, you don't get that principal protection, but you get a boosted APY. And some people are feeling max degen on their stablecoins. So actually really smart.
I agree. It's really cool. It's a feature that we can ship to normal people, which is something wallets are hyper focused on right now, and Solflare themselves as well, onboarding new people, because wallets are your first touch point with the blockchain and with Solana. So wallets need to be super user friendly, and they need to ship features that my fucking mother understands. So mom, I think, will get that if I put money in there and I get 5% interest on that money, it's insured. I get 8% interest on that money, it's not insured. Yeah, I kind of get it. Where the interest comes from, whatever. I just want my money to be in there. I want it to be safe, and I want to understand if it's safe or not, right? So pretty straightforward kind of product.
Yeah, to be fair, even for like a normal bank savings account, I don't think that there's a lot of folks who actually understand where the yield from their savings account comes from.
Why would they? I mean, why would I give a shit? Like, I have other problems in life than understanding where the yield on my bank balance comes from. Like, people don't give a shit. Like, let's be real. They just want to get the job done, right? And that's something that Solflare is kind of focused on as well. Just get the job done, build a fintech app that works and does the jobs that I expect from a fintech app, right?
Yeah.
They call themselves a fintech as well, and they go to a lot of Web2 focused conferences as well, especially in the Balkans. I see them road tripping a lot on these conferences, which is amazing because they're pushing crypto forward. They're pushing Solana forward through the brand Solflare.
Yeah, right. But Solflare is not the only team on Solana making some major moves. I also want to share that our friends over at SNS have this really new program called Refer and Earn. Now, SNS has had referrals before, but what makes this quite unique is that your SNS domain name is the referral code now. So like you don't have to use a referral code to get referrals. You would literally just use your SNS domain to refer people, which is like I think it's just interesting how they're constantly finding new ways to. It's just a product that keeps on giving. So SNS has like a very interesting and good business, and we shouldn't be talking about token price too much, but it also reflects in the SNS token price this week. Have you seen how that's been doing?
Oh, I have. Yeah, I've seen it. I've checked it out after they announced this because there's a token utility involved with this program. So the more SNS you actually own as a domain holder, the more referral rebates you get. So if you load up $40,000 worth of SNS, you're getting really high, like 20% kind of cashback on all your referrals. And then there are smaller tiers where you can also chip in $1,000 worth of SNS and so on. So there's different tiers, right? Different levels. And I totally get the point of loading up on SNS right now to make sure you get the best referral fees. So I think that's one thing that has happened over the past kind of days.
Not every business can have such a cool referral program because their product isn't really built out to support referrals in the way that SNS is. But that is just freaking genius, right? Like I feel very honored that we're working with two teams, both SNS and FlashTrade, that have really cool mechanics for their tokens. And so for SNS specifically, I didn't even know that until you mentioned it. That the more SNS that you buy and stake, the higher the referral amount that you get. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yep. It's a good utility. Makes sense. If you're a fan of the product, if you want to talk about it, then you should consider to hold some SNS to get better rebates. And yeah, FlashTrade is now the team that is doing this very well, by the way, when it comes to token utilities. I think the next epoch is closing today or tomorrow. Every 30 days, you get your fair share of FAF tokens as part of their revenue share program. If you stake FAF tokens, and B, accumulate voltage points from trading fees, so from trading activity. And I know that the community is waiting always the days before the FAF rewards. They're always like, okay, they can't wait, because you get hundreds of dollars worth of FAF tokens on that day, just for passive income, basically.
Yeah. And SNS is not just cooking on the referral program. Jesus fucking Christ, their BD team is so goated. They have integrations or partnerships with wallets, different tooling companies, DeFi, analytics, security and identity, browsers, infrastructure, community, marketplaces, payments, blockchains, explorers, GameFi. I mean, literally everything under the sun. They have a partnership. I mean, the SNS ecosystem is continuing to grow, and I think what's the most exciting about this is that you want to get to a point where people don't even ask whether or not you can use your .sol domain, right? This is true for, like, for example, Solflare. I don't ever have to worry or wonder whether or not Solflare is going to connect to a dApp on Solana. I know 100% without even fucking asking it's going to work, right? And I think that SNS is fast approaching this kind of critical mass, and if they're not already there, where you just feel like, oh, I can always use someone's .sol domain, and that will just work.
Yeah, absolutely, and it is a good feature for apps to integrate. That's a good thing. Like, it makes sense. Like, if you have an app and you have a profile or whatever, and you're displaying your actually .sol domain automatically from querying it on chain, that is much prettier than just displaying a weird ass kind of public key that doesn't look good, right? So if you want a nice UI, you just do that little extra step and integrate .sol domains.
You know what I would really like here, though, and I don't see it yet, is... Oh, it is here. Oh, we should start using that. Sorry, squads. Yeah. I want more .sol domains for my squads, and I want to be able to send it. Okay, this is really good. I'm going to start using that. That's great. Awesome. Yeah, I fucking hate using the addresses to send money. It's just a pain in the fucking ass. So yeah, okay. Squads integration, check. Very cool. So thank you to our friends over at SNS, and that is not all, folks. We also have FlashTrade. So FLP1 is now live on Camino Finance. You can now lend, borrow, and loop your FLP1, 2.86 leverage, and get like 65% LTV, which means that you can borrow up to 65% of the value of your collateral. So in this case would be FLP. Do you know how at 65% LTV, can you about double your position? Sorry, I'm super shitty at math.
I mean, just look at the leverage. I think that's the easiest way to do that exercise. Like, if you can,
right,
you can do up to 2.88 leverage. So you can, if you want to go max leverage, and you put in, $1,000 worth of FLP1, you can take the number multiply it by 2.88, and you will have a leverage position that size. So, and then the LTV is being measured when FLP as a kind of asset that fluctuates in price. If it drops below a 65% loan to value ratio, so the value of your position, the FLP tokens, pass a value that's lower than 65% of the loan that you took out or higher, then you will potentially get liquidated. So it is a leverage tool. So be careful with looping as always. But having FLP on Kamino is actually insane because FLP has been a really, really good performing asset that not only accrues the trading fees from the liquidity pool of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana on FlashTrade, and has been providing us with a stable 20 to 60% APY over the past month, even year. FLP also accrues the value of the underlying assets very well. So if Solana, Bitcoin, Ethereum pumps, FLP goes up as well. So it is a good asset to kind of own if you're bullish on ETH, Bitcoin, and Solana. Then you hold FLP, and while these assets appreciate in value, you're also getting an APY on top of it from trading fees between 20-60%, sometimes even more. And now you can also loop that whole thing. So if you put 10K in FLP, you can put it with 2x leverage, and you have a 20K position right now. Just be careful if you get into FLP at high ETH, Solana, Bitcoin levels, then don't select the highest leverage, because I think that shouldn't be a position that is close to liquidation levels. That should be a position that you put out there, you almost leave it and forget it. So if you use leverage on Kamino, then keep it easy.
Yeah, especially during these times. I think Simon is exactly right. Not financial advice, but it does make sense to be a little careful with your leverage at this point in time. But this is just, to talk more about just how well the FAF token is doing. So FAF is the native token of FlashTrade. Bro, 75% of FAF is staked. That is freaking nuts.
Yeah, and it makes sense because it makes money. Like, I don't want to, if I'm, why the fuck would I hold it? Like, if I put it into the protocol and I stake it, I get 50% of the revenue. Like, and the payout is coming every 30 days. So right now it says actually 2 hours left. So I have my FAF staked since day one, basically. I already claimed $470 in revenues over the past couple of months from the stake. And in 2 hours, I can claim potentially maybe $300-400 more bucks. I would assume right now. Yeah,
that's really not bad, honestly. That's pretty sick. If you have FAF and you're not staking it, what the fuck are you doing with your life? You're missing out on at least 50% of protocol revenue. So go grab your share. Congratulations to the FlashTrade team. I just feel, Simon, I mean, you already know that I'm having a pretty rough go of it these days. I'm pretty burnt out and tired. But I will say I'm just so glad that we get to work with these partners. Honestly, Solflare, SNS, FlashTrade, like we get to work with world-class teams, and they're working on really cool stuff. Like, it's really hard for me to fake being excited for things. Like, I can't be bothered to fake those emotions. But specifically for these three partners, I mean, they've all been absolutely wonderful, and they're also just shipping really cool stuff. So really glad to be able to talk about this on a weekly basis.
Such a dream team, honestly. And then we're also working on our projects. Like I think we right now we're affiliated with really good projects on Solana that are fucking, like Sanctum itself is also like a class A team, obviously. I'm heavily bullish on what we're shipping at Solana ID, and everything makes a lot of sense, like Software, SNS, Flash, and so on. But there's so much more happening on Solana, and we're here to cover it every single week. Do we have more for this week, or are we gonna?
Nope, we're done for this week. We've covered just about everything.
Awesome. Yeah. So I think for this week, guys, if you're listening to the EP on time and it's before the FOMC meeting on Wednesday, be sure kind of Fed decisions on rate cuts are always causing volatility. So that's normal. Right now, it's a bit choppy in the market. You want to potentially position yourself smartly, and I would follow the trend right now. The trend is up. Okay. Normally, Bitcoin halving cycles are 4 years. They're pointing at the all-time high for Bitcoin in November, potentially followed by an alt season that is, getting more value into altcoins. So again, that is a trend that has been playing out over the past years. We can bet against it. There's a chance it's not happening right now, but I usually recommend to kind of, go with the flow, go with the trend. So I think prices might go higher. So you might want to, position yourselves accordingly. And also keep in mind the rate cuts have historically been volatility in the short term but they're pretty decoupled from what happens to Bitcoin. So even if right now it's a bit hectic on the markets, the whole rate cut thing doesn't really matter for Solana prices in the long term. What matters is what happens on the chain, how much revenue you're printing, what decisions are being made on an infrastructure level when it comes to Solana, the asset. And all the signs right now are pointing upwards. So yeah, your weekly doses of Permabull for Solana has been given. You're welcome. We will see you at the next one when it's time again for Sol Brothers. Next Monday, we're live streaming, and you can catch us on YouTube, on Twitter, and even on Instagram if you want to get some additional content from Sol Brothers. Until then, you have a good day, and we'll see you at the next one. Peace out.
Bye.
Cut.
Cut. Okay, and now we got to do these. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us on the stream. Simon and I have to record a couple of timeline reactions. There's a lot of things that are going on. So yeah, we gotta cover those points.
Yes. Let's do that. Shall I begin? Or
yeah.
Which one?
So Simon's gonna begin.
Great cuts, right?
Yep.
Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen. First, the Fed was widely expected to cut rates, and markets priced it in very fast. So markets entered the week pricing in imminent Fed easing after cooling labor data and inflation noise. Major banks and market watchers pushed expectations for one or more cuts this year, and the sentiment helped risk assets, including crypto, rally ahead of official moves. The official move is happening this Wednesday, this week, and we're going to see how it plays out.
Cool. All right. That's cut. And then we have the second timeline reaction we got to do. 3, 2, 1. Tether announced plans for a new US dollar stablecoin called USAT. That stablecoin is going to be issued by Anchorage. God damn it. All right, let's try that one more time. 3, 2, 1, go.
You got it.
Tether has just announced.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Tether announced. Oh, fuck, Jesus Christ. Tether has announced plans to launch a new US dollar stablecoin called USAT. That stablecoin is going to be issued by Anchorage Digital Banks, one of the biggest asset providers in the world. Digital asset providers in the world. Fuck my life. 3, 2, 1. Tether announced plans for US-focused stablecoin called USAT. I'm sorry, I just can't do this. Fucking okay. Sorry. Try this one more time. Sorry. 3, 2, 1. Tether announced plans for a US-focused stablecoin called USAT. Tether said it planned a US dollar stablecoin to be issued via Anchorage Digital Bank and designed to comply with upcoming US stablecoin rules. The move was framed as a push for US legitimacy and market share. Okay, I gotta have a word with some people.
Straightforward.
Yeah,
that's all right. Anything else?
Okay, that is it. Thank you very much for your time, everybody.
Yeah, cool. All right, guys. Yeah, stay locked in. Let's see what happens this week. It's going to be a fun one, but yeah, we'll see. We're actually going to live stream again on Thursday, so you can expect more from us even this week. We'll see you then, guys. Bye bye.
This is really funny. Our one of our coworkers, he's on the stream right now. Guys, we're live. Guys, yeah, we know we're live, Nick. It's fine. We love getting people behind the scenes.